Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore. I hope everyone had a great week. I hope you're having a great weekend. Wow, it has really been an action-packed week if you've been keeping up with the news. And you know, it is what it is. Maybe it's not the ending that most people thought would happen, but we just have to have faith that, in the end, justice will be served. All right, so enough of that. Let's get on with the show. All right, so the title of today's show is Where is the Love? And the topic is how authors thrive with reader appreciation. So today's show title reminds me of the beautiful collaboration of two great musical icons, and that was Roberta Flack. Well, that is Roberta Flack and was Donny Hathaway. They released that song back in 1972 that peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Top 100. So when I chose this title, I didn't necessarily that song didn't necessarily come to mind, but when I was looking at it today, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! That is an old song that was sang by Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway." So I wanted to make sure that I acknowledged them, and gave them credit for that, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about beautiful collaborations and how they make artists thrive, okay? So regardless of these artists' tremendous vocal ability, no one would have heard or known this song existed without listener participation. The same extends to writers and authors who depend on reader appreciation to spread the word about the books they read or read. Authors are nothing without willing readers to complete the process, to thrive, and continue the required partnership vital to the writing industry. So let me just read that to you again. Authors are nothing without willing readers to complete the process, to thrive, and continue the required partnership vital to the writing industry. I just wanted to make that clear again because it is so important. I love how these things just they work together. They totally work together. And as a writer, I understand the importance of reader participation, and I don't take that lightly. The relationship between these two equities, they share a role in the success of authors, and that is just the plain truth of it. Also, it allows access to new readers who may have never known your work existed without loyal readers' input. Now, I can't stress to you again how important that is. We, as a writer, as an author, we can have success, or we can just die on the vine without the readers, doing their part, which, extends to them going out there, not only reading the books, but going out there and writing reviews for the books that they read. That is so important and so appreciated. And I understand that there is no binding contract that demands readers write reviews or share them publicly. However, based on the honor system, that in a sense is a shared platform, it's welcomed and appreciated. Nevertheless, a valuable asset that's helpful and empathetic to a writing community. And I can't tell you how important empathy is too, because there are so many great authors out there who don't get acknowledged. They have books out there that are great. And I'll just tell you, I have read so many great books where, they didn't have a lot of reviews. But, I was like, you know what? I want to read this book anyway, because just because it doesn't have a review on it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a great story. And when I go and read those books, I'm like, oh my God, this book was so good. And when I get finished reading it, you know what I do? I star it and I share it, because that is so important to let everyone else out there know who may be looking for a great book to read, and maybe they've stumbled across a few, and they also saw where, the book didn't have a lot of reviews on it. And like I said, it's not because the book wasn't great. It probably was because people read the book, but they didn't even, they didn't take the time to write a review. And that is so important. It is so vital to the success of authors' work, and so greatly appreciated. And you will hear me say that over and over again, because it's just so important. Although all of these things are true, which makes it so critical to an author's career. And I will concede, okay, that this sounds like a tremendous burden placed upon the reader's shoulders. Still, it is an essential piece of the writer-reader relationship, a shared investment that effectively builds the trustworthiness of the author. And I can't say that enough either, because whenever you read a book, you write a review, that's letting the next person that comes along that may touch upon that book and want to read it. And if they see what you've written about that book, that's going to make them want to read it too. And so that's why I said that it is so important, and so appreciated and so critical in the success of authors to have those reviews. I've done so many shows about that. And I'll probably do a whole lot more, because, I can't say it enough. I can't stress it enough how important that part is to a reader's success. I mean, you can write a best-selling book, but if no one they would never know it if there are no reviews on that book. To say I read it and I agree, this is a great story, and other people need to read it too. The reader's focus and ability to interpret exactly what the writer wishes to convey to the audience, it plays out in their reflective perspective when they write reviews. Now, trust me, I have read a lot of reviews written by just ordinary people who've never written a story a day in their lives, but still, they have enough insight, to know that, to express exactly what they just read and to put it into words. You don't have to be a writer to do that. You know what you feel, when you read a great story, and you express that, in words. I've seen read so many reviews to where, I just had to smile because the story touched them so much that they just wanted to point out. Now they're very careful not to tell you the ending of the story. Okay. They don't want to ruin it for anyone else, so they don't really, do any spoilers. So you don't have to have a spoiler alert or anything like that. But what they do is, they try to, to go step by step, giving you a detailed synopsis of the story, as they interpret it, when they write that review, to let you know how great the book was, how in-depth the story was, how relatable the characters were. I mean, they cover every single thing. They don't leave anything out. And that's what I admire most, the readers who take the time to actually, write more than 3 words, which 3 words is good. You can say a lot in 3 words. So, it doesn't matter the amount of words that you use to express how great the book was. Some people say great, some people say awesome, great story, but still it conveys that they appreciated that story and they found it pleasing and acceptable. So they want to make sure that the next person that comes behind them, that they'll know you won't be wasting your time if you read this book, because it's really, really good. And I'm just so overwhelmed and just, overjoyed with with the many reviews that I've written, and the writer proposes ideas that the readers they process, and then they respond, through participation. But more so, they are showing love to the author because of the time and the effort to prepare and to construct a story before releasing that work. And whether they realize it or not, there is a lot that goes into penning just one story. For each chapter, for each paragraph, a lot goes into that, because you have to have a plot, which means you have to have a plan, and it has to follow all the way through. Everything has to fit together like a puzzle, and those pieces come together, and before you know it, you've constructed a complete story. There it is, right there in black and white. And that's why we appreciate those reviews so much, because it speaks to our hearts. It speaks to my heart when I know that, I've gotten a review that someone really put a lot of time and thought into before they actually wrote it. So I thank you for that. And again, I want to stress the crucial collaboration between the author and the reader, because it's needed teamwork. Every author required to thrive in such a diverse publishing market. We appreciate you. So to all the readers out there who actively participate in the reciprocal writer-author partnership, showing us exactly where the love is, thank you. You guys are everything, and you rock. You give life to our efforts required for success. And I join with all the other authors across this vast earth who applaud and appreciate how special you are. Thank you again, guys. All right, so that's all I have for you today, but I want to make sure that I give you a few of these URLs so you can continue to listen to Book Chat. And I apologize for last week because I didn't do a show, and sometimes things happen that are unforeseen, and so sometimes you have to readjust your schedule to accommodate those things, and so that's exactly what happened. But I wanted to make sure that I was here with you this week, because I couldn't leave you hanging for 2 weeks in a row, because you never leave me hanging. And I thank you guys for doing that. I really appreciate you for listening to the show, for downloading each and every episode. I thank you so much for that. So without further delay, here's the first URL. It is https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian Moore. You can follow me, like me on Facebook and Twitter, and also Instagram. But Instagram is by invitation only. And I see your invitations out there, and I try to respond to them as quickly as I can. Also, you can go to my website, which is at https://www.authorvivianmore.com. You can leave me messages. You can check out the website. It's not that long. It's only a few pages. And I have to admit, I haven't had time to go out there and make any updates for 2021, but I will. So just be advised of that. And also, you can go out there and read my blogs. Today's script will be out there also, and that is at https://vivianemore.blogspot.com. Also, if you missed today's live show, don't despair, because each and every episode is recorded, so you can go to either Spreaker and listen to it, or Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, YouTube, SoundCloud, Dial7. I think iTunes and Apple Podcasts may be the same things. I'm not sure. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. Audible.com, Verbal, which is VURBL, and also Luminary. All right. So as these platforms become available, I will share them with you. But these are all the ones that are out there at today. I mean, as of today, those are the ones that are out there. And so I want to remind you that Worship Day is tomorrow. Worship Day is every single day, but especially on Sundays. And so, if you're still not in the brick and mortar buildings, if you are listening to the services online, or if you're doing it over the phone, having they're not necessarily Zoom calls, but I guess you could call them that. But anyway, if you're doing it that way, that's a safe way until, this pandemic has sort of leveled off a little bit, for a lot of the people who, may have underlying illnesses or whatever, or who hasn't had their shot yet. Their, what is the word I'm looking for? Is it an immunization? Is it like an immunization? Anyway, if you haven't had that yet, you may want to wait until after getting it before you go back into, the church houses, because COVID is still out there, and it's still just as deadly as it ever was. But I must say that the death rate is coming down, and the hospitalization rates are also coming down. So I'm praying and hoping that that's a result of the vaccine that people are actually getting, because it's millions and millions of people who've already gotten it. And so I think it's working. And so we're just going to keep praying and hoping that, that it will continue to work and that it will last. So, we may never, ever be rid of this pandemic. It may be something, maybe along the lines of like measles that never went away, that still exist, and a lot of other things that, that were a great pandemic that caused a lot of death at one time, but they are basically under control as long as you're immunized against it. So, maybe COVID would be one of these things as well. But, we just have to learn to live with it. And that's just, part of life, the same way we learn to live with other things. We just have to be careful and follow the guidelines that have been set forth for us. And also, invite your family members and your neighbors and your friends, give them the contact information so they can also listen to the services on Sundays. And let your kids listen in too. And guys, most of all, remember this. Please tell people that you love them, because tomorrow is not always promised. So on that note, I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.